Over the past 5 years or so, the idea that there is a direct causal relationship between how well a state performs in providing basic services like water, education, health, sanitation, and how citizens perceive its right to rule over them on the other, has achieved the status of received wisdom in aid policy. And this may be there are intuitive reasons why people would imagine that there is a link between state legitimacy and service delivery, to do with the services being a very visible and tangible expression of the social contract between the ruler and the rule. And service delivery is often described as a source of everyday legitimacy for the state. On the other hand, there are a number of reasons to question this received wisdom. First, it's important to question the received wisdom because we need to understand what happens to aid allocations when they begin to take on this political imperative, the state-building imperative. And secondly, it's important to question the received wisdom because, at least at face value, the idea that there is a causal relationship between services and state legitimacy appears something of a leap of faith, and very little research has actually been done to test the empirics of this relationship. And this is where SLRC's agenda really enters the debate. And there are a number of methodological challenges that SLRC has to confront in so doing. And whether we study legitimacy as a belief in the rightfulness of the state or as a behavioural response, i.e. do citizens comply with certain norms and values or rules and taxation, we encounter several problems to do with subjectivity, the availability of reliable opinion data, and the fact that behaviour doesn't have a direct linear relationship with belief and perception anyway. There are also a number of variables, intervening variables, that have been shown to influence the relationship between service delivery and state legitimacy. And SLRC is going to have to factor these into its own analysis. And there are many of them, I'll just highlight three. One is that perceptions of equity matter, particularly in post-conflict situations where there are horizontal inequalities between groups. It's been shown to be very important how citizens perceive the distribution of services among different population groups. Secondly, this idea that services have to be delivered in a way that is procedurally fair seems to matter for whether or not services generate legitimising effects for the state. And this means that the subjective experience of encountering state bureaucrats and how impartially policies to do with service delivery are actually implemented is really likely to matter for whether or not they change citizens' perceptions of the state. And finally, something we talked a lot about today was this idea of expectations. Different groups of citizens have different expectations of what the state will deliver. And this can be based on not only what has been delivered in the past, but what citizens think the state can deliver and what they think it should deliver. And research has shown that expectations can actually shift over time, that as improvements are made in service delivery, expectations can grow. So then we have a very non-linear relationship between service delivery and state legitimacy. As expectations grow, then the legitimising returns of provision may diminish. So all of these factors complicate methodologically and empirically the relationship between service delivery and state legitimacy. But we have good reasons to question the received wisdom. We need more comparative case studies, and that's why I'm looking forward to the SLRC's contribution.